Hey Cowboys Nation, what's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're ready for some deep dives into the 2025 NFL Draft, today's show is going to be one you won't want to miss. We've got a special treat for you today as we break down Mel Kiper's final 2025 NFL mock draft, specifically looking at what he has in store for our beloved Dallas Cowboys. We know this is a big topic, and it's one of those moments where every Cowboys fan is eagerly awaiting to see if we can hit on a future star. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty of Kiper's picks, I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button right now. Don't miss any of our Cowboys coverage, because here, we're keeping it real and giving you everything you need to stay up to date, without any hidden fees or subscription services like ESPN+. No need to pay extra to get top-notch analysis on the Dallas Cowboys. We've got you covered for free right here, and we're just getting started. So, join the family, and let's dive into the draft talk. Alright, now that the housekeeping is out of the way, let's jump right into it. Mel Kiper, the expert himself, has dropped his final mock draft for 2025, and it's no surprise that there are some intriguing picks, especially when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys at pick number 12. A lot of you have been asking, who will the Cowboys draft this year? Well, Mel Kiper seems to think he's got a pretty solid read on this, and I'm here to break it all down for you. In this particular mock draft, we're looking at 2 rounds, which is a bit of a treat. You don't always get a 2-round mock from Kiper, but he's laying it all out, giving us an early glimpse of how the Cowboys might navigate this draft, and of course, where their biggest needs will be addressed. Let's take a quick look at the picks before the Cowboys selection at 12. Mel Kiper starts us off with a pretty standard top 10. Cam Ward goes first overall, followed by Travis Hunter at number 2, Abdul Carter to the New York Giants at number 3, and so on. No big surprises early on. These players are all high-caliber athletes with star potential in the NFL. So, no shockers in those top spots, as the big names are all off the board. Now, this is where things get really interesting. The Cowboys are picking at 12, and Mel Kiper has highlighted several intriguing players still available. For the Cowboys, this is a pivotal point in the draft. The team is coming off a solid season, but they're still looking for pieces that can push them into that next echelon. Dallas needs immediate contributors, and while there are a lot of options on the board, what's fascinating is who Kiper believes the Cowboys should select. Defensive talent is deep in this draft, and for the Cowboys, that's always going to be a focus. However, Kiper is predicting a surprising pick for the Cowboys here at 12, Amarian Hampton, the running back from North Carolina. Now I know what you're thinking. A running back at 12? Is that really the direction the Cowboys should be going in? Let's break this down, because this pick could really shake things up. Amarian Hampton is a name that's been on the radar for a while now. At 6'0" and 221 pounds, he's a big back who can move. And even though we've heard a lot of chatter about improving the passing game or bolstering the defense, Mel Kiper believes the Cowboys might pull the trigger on a running back in round 1. This is actually an interesting thought because the Cowboys have been looking for a difference maker in the backfield ever since the departure of Ezekiel Elliott. Last season, the Cowboys struggled to establish a consistent run game. The team ranked dead last in the NFL with just 4.0 yards per carry and only 6 rushing touchdowns. That is absolutely abysmal, and when you combine that with the injury issues the team's running backs had, it makes sense that Dallas might want to invest in a guy who can change the dynamic of their ground game. Amarian Hampton, for all his physicality, has a burst that is somewhat rare for a back his size. Despite being 221 pounds, he's capable of taking off once he hits the second level of the defense. His speed is solid, running a 4.48 40-yard dash, and his ability to break tackles and gain yards after contact is something that could add another dimension to the Cowboys' offense. In the past 2 seasons, Hampton has accumulated over 1,000 yards after contact in each season, which speaks volumes about his ability to push through defensive contact. But here's the thing, I'm not entirely sold on the idea of taking a running back at 12, especially when there are still some very talented receivers available. The Cowboys need to add weapons around CeeDee Lamb, and with guys like Tedo McMillan, and Matthew Golden still on the board, it feels like the Cowboys might be better served adding another wide receiver to the fold. Now, if there's one thing we know about Jerry Jones, it's that he isn't afraid to make bold moves. Remember back to when the Cowboys drafted Ezekiel Elliott at 4 overall in 2016. Jones was widely criticized at the time for taking a running back so early, but as we all know, that pick turned into a franchise-changing moment for the Cowboys, at least for the first few years. In this case, it's not out of the question that Jerry could make another splash at the running back position. While I'm personally not a huge fan of drafting a running back this early, I do understand the logic behind it. The Cowboys need a dynamic presence in the backfield who can contribute right away. Amarian Hampton has the talent to be that guy. But again, would the Cowboys really pull the trigger on him at 12 when they have other glaring needs like a wide receiver or even an edge rusher? For me, I'm going to be a bit surprised if the Cowboys go this route, but I won't be totally shocked. It's definitely one of those picks that could work, but I'm not sure it's the best value for the team, given what else is on the board. Alright, let's move on to the second round. Kiper has the Cowboys selecting Trey Amos, a cornerback from Louisiana, with their pick at 44. And this pick? This one makes a lot of sense to me. The Cowboys have had issues with their secondary, especially at cornerback, and if they're looking to improve their coverage and defensive depth, Trey Amos could be the guy they need. Amos isn't just another cornerback. He had an outstanding season last year, recording 3 interceptions and 15 pass breakups. He was targeted 62 times and allowed just a 51.6% completion rate on those targets. His ability to keep receivers from making big plays downfield is a huge asset, and his speed, a 4.43 40-yard dash, would allow him to keep up with some of the more athletic wide receivers in the league. What I love about this pick is that Amos is more than just a physical talent. He has the mental game down as well, understanding positioning and timing in coverage. And given the Cowboys' struggles with inconsistency at cornerback, adding a guy like Trey Amos could be a major step in shoring up the secondary. However, what's interesting here is that there were some other solid names on the board in round 2 as well. Guys like Tyler Booker, a guard from Alabama, would be an intriguing pick to help bolster the Cowboys' offensive line. But it seems like Kiper believes the secondary is the more pressing need right now, especially with the loss of Jordan Lewis in free agency. As we wrap things up, I want to emphasize something about mock drafts in general. I love looking at them as much as the next person, but let's be real, they should never be treated as gospel. In fact, mock drafts are wrong far more than they're right. If you get even a handful of picks correct in the first round, you're doing better than most analysts out there. It's important to remember that these predictions are based on a ton of variables that are constantly shifting, and they're often wrong. For instance, let's take a look at Kiper's past mock drafts. He nailed the pick of Tyler Smith for the Cowboys, but even then, there were some questionable comments about Smith's position on the line. And even though Kiper had the Cowboys drafting Smith, he was off on a few other players in recent years. Mock drafts are just one piece of the puzzle, and the draft itself is where the real action happens. So, let's keep things in perspective. If the Cowboys go with Amarian Hampton and Trey Amos, that could be a solid haul, but it's going to depend on how the board falls, how these players perform at the combine, and what the Cowboys front office is ultimately thinking. In conclusion, I want to know what you think. If the Cowboys go with Amarian Hampton at 12 and Trey Amos at 44, how would you grade that draft haul? A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to subscribe for all the latest Cowboys content. We've got plenty more draft coverage coming your way, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, Cowboys Nation.